What do you do when your business is technically working, but is still not bringing in the money, clarity, or freedom that you want? In today's live coaching session on the Right CEO Life podcast, I am talking to Meghan Fitzpatrick. She's a therapist and coach who's built a heart-led business, launched a podcast she loves, and is full of amazing ideas like retreats and courses. But like so many of us self-employed people, she's at a turning point, wondering what should she focus on now to actually grow this into a sustainable business. Today, we talk about pricing, clarity, monetization strategies, and how to build momentum when you've got too many ideas and not enough time. Hey, Megan, welcome to the Remote CEO Life podcast, this very special episode where we're going to deep dive into your business and a challenge that you are currently facing together and try and figure it out for you. Do you want to give us a little bit of an intro into you, where you're from, and what is your business that we're going to be talking about today?
Yeah. Hi, Sophie. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. I am a therapist and coach and also a podcast host myself. And I was really excited to connect with you because as much as I give all this time and attention to all of my clients, I feel like I need to give some to myself as well. As a therapist, coach, and podcast host, I feel that my energy is going in lots of different directions and I need to narrow my focus a bit. So, yeah.
That makes sense. And is there anything specific that you are coaching on in your coaching business?
In my coaching business, I tend to focus on career, but that's not 100%. My podcast is also career focused. That is just something I've noticed. It's one of the major pain points that people bring to therapy.
Mm.
I started my therapy career in London. So it's a very career oriented demographic of clients that I have. And there's a lot of people that hate their jobs. So I
I
felt,
know, I was one of them.
yeah, as was I, for a long time. So I feel that that's an area that I can really help people make some, really clear action steps and some shifts. And I've seen people just make the biggest changes and it's very rewarding. So I love helping people with that. And then I started my podcast about that like 6 months ago, where I just have had people on that work in all careers. Like it's not for any set demographic. The only common tie for guests on my podcast is people who have stepped through fear and are now doing more aligned work, whatever that looks like. And so I've started creating a course around that. And I'm working with a couple of clients on that one on one. But I'd love to be able to package the course and sell it, as like an offering. But I also have coaching clients working through other blocks as well. So it's not 100% black and white that you can only work with me on career stuff. That is a lot of my lived experience
Yeah.
has been hating work and wanting to just do work that I love, which I get to do now. So it's nice.
Exactly. It makes sense. You've gone through that own transformation. Now you're even in a better place to talk about that and help other people. And obviously, you went through your qualification to become a counselor as well. So you've got all of that kind of like science backed knowledge as well as your own lived experience. So I think that's a really powerful combo to be able to help people, which is amazing. And tell me a little bit about how you're feeling about your business right now.
I am feeling like I have a really long to-do list and I have a lot of things that seem really obvious that need to be like automated. For example, cancellations and rescheduling. It's been on my to-do list forever to just get a public facing calendar. I've seen it with a lot of other coaches and therapists. I think I used it for you even when we were setting up this call, just so that if a client needs to cancel or they need to reschedule, they can go in and do it themselves, because I spend so much time emailing and but then it's not just the client side of things, it's also the booking in of the podcast and any other life things that go into it. And so I feel like I have like 3 different calendars, and it's only been in the last couple of weeks that now I'm navigating so many different time zones as well, that I like had one mess up that I realized last minute. And I was like, oh my God. So this seems like a really obvious pain point that just needs to be resolved. So I need to spend like a day doing that. I think what I charge and cancellations is a really big one. And cancellations is a really hot topic in the therapy world. I think in the coaching world, it's more cutthroat. So I also feel pull between the two, between coaching and therapy, and where I need to be firm and where I need to be an understanding therapist who's like, it's okay. So I'm kind of pulled between those two things. And I think the other thing is just my own personal energy because I probably have energy leaks because of things like this in so many different directions. I'm tired and I'm not able to give my podcast all the love and attention that I would like to give to it because it's something that it's like a passion project for me that I really love. And I also notice it with like, just in my personal life, my friendships and my family. I'm tired, I'm visiting family right now and I see my little niece and nephew and they're just balls of energy and they're like, come do this, come do this. And I want to go to bed before they do. Like, I'm like, "Guys, auntie needs to go to sleep now." So yeah.
So
There.
it definitely sounds like you have a lot on your plate, and like there's potentially some system issues essentially in the business, which is not allowing you to properly leverage your time and the resources that you have to be able to serve the clients. Because then you're kind of stuck in a loop, I imagine, where you have the same thing happening on repeat. Like the clients are cancelling, you feel like you feel demotivated probably by that happening, and then you're going to be stuck in like this energy loop of, oh my God, I need to do all of these extra things in order for that to stop happening. So it's kind of like you're in this energy loop where you're constantly chasing your tail, but then you don't have the energy to fix the problem. And then you're just going back into that cycle, that pattern. So the main issue, I guess, that we're speaking to is how do we leverage your time in the most effective way that's going to give you the best results, essentially, so that you can have a healthier income level, a bit more stable income, not feel like you are constantly chasing your tail with your to-do list. So we'll look at maybe implementing some systems in your business and figuring out what's the best use of your time, because it sounds like you've got a lot of different projects, which obviously all mean something to you. They all do something different for your clients and serve in a different way, which is amazing. And it's good to have variety in what you do, but maybe it is too much energy being leaked in the wrong places. So let's
Yeah.
look at like, what is the right places for you to be spending this energy, and how can we set that up properly so that you are automating things that you don't need to be emailing for example, and how can you really use your time in the most efficient way? Does that sound okay?
Yeah, that sounds good. I like even hearing you say that. One of the major things that I've been grappling with for the past year since I became like full-time therapist and not having any other income portals is the model of one-on-one therapy and client, like that model. It's not a good monetary system. And unless you charge exorbitant amounts as your hourly rate, just don't think it's not sustainable in the long run unless you can charge a very, very high rate. So that has been part of my back and forth and why I look at potentially wanting to do group work and selling courses and doing all this other stuff on the side, because I feel that I shouldn't be relying solely on my one-to-one client therapist sessions as my sole source of income. That
Mm,
it doesn't feel, I feel like I don't want all the pressure to be on that. So like when someone does need to cancel, because life happens and people do need to cancel, I don't want it to be like, I feel so deflated. Ugh, now I'm going to be late paying this bill, or, do you know what I mean? Like, I feel
absolutely.
like I need another income portal because it doesn't feel sufficient with the one-to-one.
Yeah, I would be interested to understand if you feel comfortable to share, like, what are you charging for like an hourly session, for example, and are you just doing like one-off sessions, or do you do like group blocked sessions?
So I just do one-to-one sessions right now. I had started exploring doing group work, which is kind of where the podcast ended up coming from. It's like quite a bit of a story there. But I stopped doing that to do the podcast. Yeah, so it's just one-to-one. So it's just therapist or coach client sessions is all I do right now. Can you remind me the rest of the question?
Like, what are you charging for those one-on-one sessions? Like a ballpark, you don't have to give me the exact
Yeah.
figure, but
Well,
just to feel
it's
comfortable.
honestly it's evolved because I've been doing it for a while now. So some of the clients that I've had for over a year, and so they're still paying a lower rate, whereas newer clients pay more. But it ranges from, like, I have two clients that are on a concessionary rate, so they're, like students or like very low income. So they're paying 50 like pounds, and then up to the higher rate, which is like 110 pounds.
Okay.
Typically, it's an hour session. Some of the coaching things I say we can go up to 75 minutes.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think in terms of, so for those sessions specifically, are you labeled as their therapist or their coach?
The majority of them, I'm their therapist.
Okay.
I have a lot more therapy clients than coaching clients, but I would like to move more, I think, into having more coaching clients.
Yeah, because the thing that I agree with you, what you said around like trading time for money on a one-on-one basis, it is very hard to scale that, especially if you are labeling yourself as a therapist, in which case, as we've already spoken about, in the UK, therapy is deemed a luxury, and therapy isn't something like in the US, it's way more normal to have a therapist and pay good money for a therapist as well. In the UK, where most of your clients are, it is not necessarily deemed something that's an essential thing for somebody to have, although we both know that actually it is way more essential than it should it's made out to be in the UK. But obviously there's also a lot with that not being something that's factored into an everyday budget, and that cost of living crisis, all of that, it's usually like way down the list, and then people aren't willing to pay, don't understand the value of it, basically, is what I'm trying to say. So I do wonder if there is something around your positioning and how you're positioning yourself as a therapist, which is blocking you from being able to charge the rates that you want to charge. Because when you talk about coaching, there is that would be a really, really low rate if you were just deemed as to be a coach. Like 50 to 110 pounds an hour would be super, super low. Like the average, I would say, that you'd pay for an hour is anything between like 250 and 500 pounds an hour / 90-minute session if you were moving more towards the coach. So the first thing that I would suggest that we look at is maybe your positioning, and the positioning of how you're putting yourself out there. Like, for you, what's the thing that you get the most out of, like in terms of this whole business, regardless of how you're delivering the work? What's your goal? What's your mission? What do you want your clients to walk away with?
Seeing them make huge shifts in their life is the most rewarding thing for me. Knowing that I've helped them. When they come back to me and say, "Thank you so much. Like, you really helped me through that." And upon reflection, the majority of those types of feedback have been on things that I've helped people with more from a coaching side, I think.
Okay. So
Yeah.
for me, it sounds like, and obviously we don't have hours and hours to delve into this today, but just on a top line level to give you something to think about, I really feel like the way that you're positioning yourself isn't attracting the people that will pay and for that transformation. I think if you position yourself between 50 and 110 pounds per hour, you are attracting somebody that isn't actually that serious, and that's going to show in the cancellations, in the reschedules. You're not getting those clients on a consistent basis, constantly having to bring on new people, because if they're like, I'm not saying that 50 to 110 pounds isn't a lot of money. For some people that is a lot of money, and for somebody that's investing in therapy, I think with the word therapy in general, again, I'm British, I lived in the UK, I've been in and out of the mental health system, also understand how it works here. There is still a stigma, right, around therapy, around paying for this as a service. And I think when you are charging between 50 and 110 pounds per hour, you're not getting payment up front. You are going to be attracting people that maybe do really want that and probably do really need that service from you, but they might get back out at last minute because they're scared, or that they don't see it as a priority for them because work, like especially if you're going down the route of like helping people more with their careers and debunking the situations that are going on for them there, they're probably like just prioritizing other things, right? But so they're thinking, oh, it's fine, like we can reschedule that for another day, or like not do it at all, kind of thing. So I think it's the first thing to focus on for you would be your positioning. And my suggestion from like looking at this externally would be that you shift everything towards coach. You label yourself as a coach, but obviously you talk about your therapist qualifications, and that is your unique selling point as a coach, because you
Yeah.
are not just another coach that's labeling themselves as a coach that's doing it from lived experience, which I also think is a very good way to do it, but you actually have the training and you are also using your lived experiences as well. So my suggestion, first of all, to make sure you're attracting in the right people and to be able to feel more comfortable financially, because you can charge way higher rates as a coach, and the people that seeking out coaching are going to be way more serious, I think, than the people that are seeking out therapy, because therapy is just sometimes what people go to get them through a certain situation. Coaching can go on for years. Coaching can go on for a lot longer time, and people that are seeking out a coach are way more serious about that. And you could maybe specialize in career coaching with the therapist trained background, for example, like whatever it is that you specifically want to target, the transformation that you want to give to people. But I think at the moment, having that therapist and the coaching is quite broad, and the people that you're going to get coming in maybe aren't going to be as serious as potentially if you were positioning yourself as a coach with all of these other things as your unique selling point or the thing that you specifically specialize in. So I think looking at your positioning would be your first point. I don't think we've got probably
I
time to
agree.
go into it like right now if we want to look at some of the other things, but I think that would actually eliminate quite a lot of the other problems like the no-shows, the income piece. And then as you position yourself as a coach, you can obviously do the one-on-one and charge way higher time for money. You can also block out like sessions and say, right, a package of 10 sessions is this, or this is the program, this is the transformation that you're going to do. Then you can incorporate the courses as a baseline of that and have different layers. So I think for what it sounds like you want to achieve, coaching is probably more the direction that it would go in naturally. I don't know. What do you think from me saying that? Is that surprising, or is it
No,
old
it's not
information?
surprising. I think the like the biggest block that I experience in there is it is the rate, and it's the, you know, it's the headbutting of the two different industries and like what one should charge. But coaching is what originally attracted me to that industry to begin with. And then I actually had an experience where I was doing a group coaching thing, and there was someone in the group coaching that very clearly needed the help of a therapist. She was struggling with some pretty heavy mental health stuff, and that was very obvious to the group. And I think the coach didn't know how to hold her and how to handle it. And I saw it handled very poorly. And that was like a big red flag to me. And I thought, if I ever do this work, I want to be able to hold someone that comes to me with, you know, suicidal ideation or, you know, a really traumatic history, you know, childhood abuse or whatever. I want to be able to handle that as a coach. And I think that's a big issue with the coaching industry. It's less regulated, and there's a lot of coaches that don't know how to handle that. So it was important to me to get the therapy training. But now that I'm out and I'm doing it, whilst I love helping people through those struggles as well, I'm still more attracted to the coaching side of things. And my like role models in the industry are coaches, not therapists. There are therapists that I love, like Gabor Mate, right? Like he's like God, but I'm more action oriented. So the coaching side of things. And also just even hearing you say charging 250, I'm like, so I feel like I have like a bit of a money
Money
ish
block.
story thing that I probably need
Yeah.
to go through, because like that feels so high to ask people to pay that.
Yeah.
Like that's an edge for me that I need to look at.
Definitely. So there's probably like everything comes with mindset blocks, right? Like normally any growth phase in our business is going to come from mindset blocks. I'm sure you know that already. But like definitely looking into like what's the resistance to charging more? What's the resistance from fully transitioning into coaching? Does it feel safer to be a therapist because therapists are more credible? I mean, you can still call yourself, I guess, like a therapeutic coach or something like that. I don't know, like incorporate that in the name of whatever job title you decide for yourself, which is the beauty of what we do now, is that we can create and call ourselves whatever we want and create a word that's going to really resonate with the people that you're trying to bring in. And I think trying to get very clear on exactly like what is that money block that's holding you back. I don't know if you had any thoughts about like what that might be, or is there anything that comes to mind? Have you already done any money mindset work previously? Because I know we're part of the same manifestation membership, which definitely has a money mindset focus, especially right now they've got a money mindset challenge. So
Yeah.
I would be interested to know if you've already worked through any part of that to get to where you are today, and then maybe this is just like the next layer that you need to unfold.
I think it's the next layer. I've done so much of, I mean, honestly, like the beginning of my journey, it's like self-worth, like self-esteem, love and money all connected, right? Like I think the bar was like so fucking low when I started. Like it's not even funny. It was like the bar was in hell. It was so low. I've like done a lot to get it up to even where it currently is. And now I honestly, when I think about charging like much more than what I'm currently charging, I wouldn't be able to do it under the lens or under the title of therapist, because I immediately, the first thing I think of is a couple of people that I trained with, and like I just can feel like a judgy almost projection or response from them, like like, you can't charge that. Like, I can see that, and that makes me like, it does not a good feeling.
Yeah.
So definitely like opinions of other professionals in my field. And I've had
Yeah.
a lot of I get a lot of mixed advice on like what I should do and what I should charge. And it's conflicting for me.
Okay, and what do you think you should do and what should you charge? Because why are you listening to anybody else's opinions on
I
it?
know that is like, yeah, it is. I think, yeah, as we unpick it, it's kind of like I feel like I would be like being disloyal
Okay.
to my therapy training.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not abandoning it in any way, and it was really helpful, and I definitely feel more aligned with charging significantly more, having like a no, like if you cancel, but you pay for the session. You booked in this time. Like, I loved the form that I filled for you that at the end it said respect my time.
Yeah.
I want to say that. I want to like have that stamped on my forehead with everyone that I work with. Like, come on. Like,
Yeah.
the being messed around thing is starting to feel really, it's bringing up a lot of resentment in me, where previously I would be like, oh, it's okay, like da da da. And now I'm like, I've hit my edge with that. And it was, it's the love money thing. It's reflected. Like, I think about older dating experiences I had like over the last 10 years, and like, it's crazy. Like, just the amount of growth that I've had from a lot of the work of the program that we're both in. Like, yeah.
I resonate a lot with everything you're saying, and I've also gone on my own journey through all of the things you've just mentioned. And when I first started my business back in London, I had the same thing. And if somebody didn't, the reason why that respect your time thing is on there is because I've gone through that same thing, and I've had to really put in very, very clear boundaries. In the first year of my business, I had none. None, no boundaries whatsoever. I would take on all of the people, take on all the clients, do all the work, would reschedule calls, accommodate other people. Actually, who are you running your business for? Yes, you want to serve a client, but you're running your business for yourself because you want to do this. You've got a mission. You are running your business for yourself. You have to advocate for yourself. You have to protect yourself. You are self-employed. We don't have the same benefits as we do in a full-time job. If somebody cancels a meeting, it doesn't just cancel our time, it cancels our income. So you have to stand up for yourself a little bit more and say, like, this is what I'm willing to accept, and you have the systems in place to be able to accommodate for that. Because it's all well and good putting in like payment walls and things like that, or like payment terms and things like that, but if you don't have the systems to back it up and actually do those things for you, it's going to be really hard for you to actually get those things working and operating in the way that you want them to work. So there's a couple of things. Obviously, we know that you've got the money mindset block, and like, I think you'll take away the fact that maybe figure out like, how are you positioning yourself? Are you positioning yourself as a coach or a therapist? There's probably a piece around like looking at like, why are you feeling so much aversion to moving it across to coaching, and thinking about like what the therapist friends are thinking. I completely understand why that is coming up, because you all went through the same
It's like
training.
so frowned upon, like, ooh,
Yeah,
coaching. And
I
I
know.
don't care. And I was really open about that throughout our training, that I'm very solution focused and I'm more interested in coaching, or like more drawn to that. I just
Yeah,
think you see bigger transformations.
I agree. And the fact that you have the therapist background is amazing, because you can really bring that in. And like I say, that's your unique selling point. You will market yourself as the coach with the therapy background. Do you know? Like, you can talk about the transformations, you can talk about your qualification, you can talk about your experience that you've had in that setting, and really link that back. Because I think people, particularly where the word coach is a little bit frowned upon, people want evidence to suggest why they should work with this specific coach. Are they going to actually get what they're paying for? And in some cases, I've seen some very bad experiences with coaching. In fact, I have a lot of people that come to me after they've had a really bad experience with another business coach that hasn't got any actual experience in what that is that they're trying to sell. So I think as long as you can position yourself in a way that feels good to you, you're not worrying about what anybody else is thinking about it, but you can still incorporate that element of the therapy. Nothing's been lost, only to gain, right, in that certain situation. And then the second part of it is to put in the systems that are going to eliminate all of these other things that have been happening. So with the cancellations, for example, attracting in the people that aren't quite the right fit for you, making sure that your pricing structure, and you don't have to jump from 50 to 250 right straight away. You can go incrementally. I would think about it like you should never base your pricing just based off of time. So never look at it from a time perspective, but think about like that transformation. Think about like how much would that ideal person realistically be able to spend on that product. And also think about you paid for that training, I'm assuming, like, right? So you paid for your therapy qualification. You've gone through probably, I know you worked in the NHS, so quite low pay to get
Years,
to where you want to
years,
be.
years.
Like,
It was so expensive.
you've invested so much of your own time, your own money in this training. There is a value proposition there that you need to bring into your pricing as well. So really getting clear on your pricing to do with the new positioning that you're going to put out. And then you need the systems. Now, my best suggestion for you would be to subscribe to a system, something like Dubsado. Dubsado is what you booked this session with me through. And Dubsado essentially is a client management system. I highly, highly recommend something like that. There might be other alternatives now, but Dubsado manages your contracts, it manages your payments, it manages your invoicing, it manages your calendar, it manages your emails, workflows. You can automate pretty much anything, and you can pay somebody on Fiverr, for example, or Upwork to set all of this up for you.
Okay.
So you don't even need to necessarily touch it. Obviously, you can if you want, but you can also find a solution. Someone set this all up for you. That is going to be like, if you have an actual client management system, that is going to be a really easy way for you to incorporate a contract with a client. So again, going back to what I was saying, like, you have to advocate for yourself, you have to back yourself. We are not employed, we're self-employed. Contracts always, but even if you're just speaking to a client once, have some kind of contract in place that is
Yeah,
like,
I'm really firm with the contracting
yeah,
because yeah, I mean
definitely.
that's the therapy background. Like the contracting was like a huge part of our
Yeah,
training.
exactly.
I have
With
a
payment terms also. And I would shift your payment terms to be upfront, honestly. If you're just going to do a one-off session with somebody, if there is literally just one session, they're paying upfront, or if they're block booking, they're paying like a deposit and then they can pay on a payment plan, something like that. Again, cover your back, think about like what you need, not necessarily what that client needs. Obviously, then you can assess it on a case by case basis. If someone is showing up every week and they can't afford to pay that specific week, obviously you can custom it for that person for whatever needs to happen, but don't go off of the assumption that somebody will naturally just pay you when they're supposed to pay you, because they won't.
Yeah. Well, I've learned that now, but in the last 3 months, I've changed my contract. So anyone that has started with me in the last 3 months, you have to pay up front. But
Amazing.
it's trickier with people that I've been working with for a long time to change their contract, something they already signed. So that's where it's been the stickiest. But anyone new that I'm working with, they have to pay up front.
Yeah. I mean, it's tricky, but it's also, businesses evolve, there's inflation, things happen, things change. Like, having to change those contracts is quite a normal thing. Like, even in jobs, if a company gets acquired, for example, your contract changes. So I think if you can like take away any like personal emotion or any kind of obviously you've been working with that person for a long time, it feels a bit icky. No, again, it's your business. You get to decide the rules. So if you want to change that contract, if that feels like something that partnership or that client relationship is no longer working in the current form, it's time to shift it. Like, regardless of if that's going to upset that person, you're going to lose a client, know that somebody more aligned is going to come in and adhere to the new terms that you've got, because it's not sustainable for you. Even if you've been working with that client for 2 years, obviously you're going to make exceptions for that client in certain ways, but you're going to have to look at what is a non-negotiable for you going into this new phase of business. Like, how much you want to charge, what time, what are the rules, that kind of thing. I think that's really important for you to implement in this new phase. How does that all feel, like, in terms of what we've spoken about? Does that feel like it makes sense, or does any of it feel like, oh, that's scary, don't want to change that?
No, I think it was good for me to work through that. I like it. That is the shift I need to make. I just need to step more confidently into the coaching thing and focus on that. Like, I started changing my description on my Google business page, and I spent like the entire day, this was like 2 months ago, trying to change because I wanted to keep therapist in there. Like, I feel like it's like just a personal thing that I want the word therapist to be in there, but I definitely want to step into more working as a coach. So I think I had said coaching through a therapeutic lens,
Yeah, perfect.
but I also really liked what you just said, like therapeutic coach.
Yeah,
That is
whatever
my,
resonates.
yeah, I think that that's key. Yeah.
Amazing. And then I know when you came into the call, you were like, I've got such a long to-do list. The other thing I would suggest that you look at is needs versus wants. Like, what are the things that are actually going to move the needle? Because what I think many business owners are guilty of, myself included, is working on like the low price stuff, right? Like the things that are like, yeah, I could update my website. Yeah, I could spend a day reworking my Google profile. Yeah, I could do this little thing. But like, what are the things that are actually going to move the needle for you? What are the things that need to be done right now? Because I know you mentioned that when at the beginning and also in your consultation form with me, you were like, I want to do retreats. I want to do courses. I want the podcast. I've got this. I want to do that. I want to do this, which is amazing. But which one of those is actually going to get you closer to the goal that you have? I think this positioning shift is going to be the first step to going down the route of quite a lot of those things anyway. But I think it's about like really looking at that to-do list and be like, do I just want to do this because it ticks something off my to-do list? Or do I want to do this because it needs to be done and it's going to move the needle for me? And look at it as like priority tasks versus non-priority can do when you're on a low energy day / something that's a bit like easy when you need like just a filler task almost, but focus like 80%, 70 to 80% of your attention on the tasks that are actually going to move the needle. And then I think that to-do list will seem a lot more manageable.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing right now is the calendar. And it's picking the system, because I have looked at so many. Like, I was looking at Kajabi for a while. My website is Squarespace, and they have a calendar system. They bought Acuity. I don't know if you know Acuity. Yeah,
Yeah.
like, so I was thinking I was gonna do the Squarespace calendar system because my website is already Squarespace, but maybe I should look at Dubsado.
I would recommend, for what you do, I really would recommend Dubsado because it will house everything and help you just manage everything under one platform. And it also means that if you changed your website, for example, you'd have an external system that could just integrate with whichever platform that you're currently using. I
Okay.
am all about like finding systems that can do many things in one, because systems are expensive. And if you can find one that covers all of the things, it actually makes the client's life and your life so much easier because it's going to be a really streamlined approach.
That's why I was also quite keen, or I felt like Kajabi would be a good one because they do all the things as well. But
Kajabi is great if you're a course creator. Like, I use Kajabi because I have courses.
hmm,
I think for what you need right now, it's probably not the right platform. Like, I actually use Kajabi and Dubsado together because Kajabi doesn't necessarily give me all of the things that Dubsado does. It's a different tool. I think from what you're talking to me about, like the scheduling, the client invoices, the payment stuff, all of that would be solved under a Dubsado.
okay. Yeah, and Kajabi's like too many steps ahead for
I
me.
think so
It's
at the
also my
moment.
problem. Like, I think too far ahead. I just need to get the here and now, like, really smooth before I jump too far ahead.
Definitely. Well, let's look at some actions for you so that we can literally think about the here and now, and also a little bit further in the future as well. Because I'm very action oriented, very much want to show you what actions to take going forward based on the conversation that we've had. So we'll look at one action you can take in the next 24 hours, one action you can take this week, and one action you can take this month. I think the first one in this next 24 hours, because this is going to help you get really clear on everything else, is your positioning and looking at like, how do you want to position yourself going forward, and thinking about that, and not necessarily coming to a decision in the next 24 hours, but just having a really in-depth thought about it of what could you offer going forward to make you feel comfortable and set yourself up for success in the financial side of things as well. And then in terms of an action for this week, I would suggest like looking into systems and seeing like what systems could you potentially do. So if it is a Dubsado, if it is a Kajabi, if it is even just for an interim period, Google Calendar works really well. Like, Google Calendar has a scheduler.
I use Google Calendar right now, but my issue is that I have like 3.
Okay,
So it's
merging
marrying.
them.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So thinking about like what system can you incorporate into your business right now to really streamline all of the things. And then obviously a follow on from that this month is to start that whole repositioning, and that's those systems, start implementing those in the business, and like start talking, if you're doing any marketing, start changing the way that you are doing the marketing to focus more on the coaching, start increasing the prices, like actually execute the things that you're thinking about over the next week and take action to put those in place in your business.
Yes,
Does that
I
feel
agree.
achievable?
It does. And when you said to think about my positioning, like, honestly, all I can hear now is therapeutic coach.
Love
I
it.
think that that marries the two industries perfectly. And then therapy is still the leading word, but it's not therapist. It's therapeutic coach. I like that.
I love it.
Really like
Amazing.
that. Yeah, I'm glad that you said that. Yeah.
You're welcome. And so do you feel a bit clearer now about your next steps in what's going to happen in your business?
Yes.
Amazing. And how
Yeah.
do you feel about the general challenge that we spoke about at the beginning, and how what we've worked through today? How do you feel about that?
I feel good about I feel good. What I haven't kind of resolved is what the podcast is, but I think the way that I have felt about it, especially over the last like month or two because of the connections I've made through it, is that it's a really good marketing tool for me right now. And I actually think, especially if I'm leaning more on the coaching side of like, for my income, that will be more aligned with the podcast.
I agree. I don't think the podcast should be used as an income. You shouldn't be relying on that as an income driving revenue, because podcasts can take years to materialize into any income. So the podcast for me, based on your business model, would be that place to nurture your audience and get people in, so get your clients in to make sure that they trust you on a deeper level, get people that are in your audience on social media or wherever else you market into your podcast, so that they can understand the quality of the work that you're doing, and then they're going to naturally fall into your coaching.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for joining me today for this episode. I hope that's really helped bring some clarity in your next steps in business. Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah, that was really helpful.
I love this conversation today with Meghan. I could really relate to everything she was saying, because I've personally gone through so many of these issues in my business myself, especially the one around money mindset. There is so many things coming up every time you go to a new level in your business that you have to unblock when it comes to money. It is such an important subject to really be able to charge your worth and know the value of your services and the positioning of your services. So I'm really looking forward to seeing which actions Meghan takes from the ones that we discussed, and seeing the success of her business in the very near future. In the meantime, if like Meghan, you've been stuck on having your energy very dispersed and you're not really focused on the things that you want to be focused on in your business, on your online business, I can definitely support you with that. If you would like a coaching session like the one I did today with Meghan, I have that available on my website for you to book into my calendar right now, and I can help you debunk those problems that you're currently facing. Thanks so much for listening to today's episode of the Remote CEO Life podcast.